Embrace your unhappiness to unlock true inner joy and fulfillment. The shadow we hide from. When we think of joy and fulfillment, what comes to mind? A perfect relationship, financial success, the ultimate spiritual awakening. For many of us, these seem like the destinations worth striving toward. Yet, as we move closer to them, we often find an unsettling truth: the very things we thought would make us happy seem hollow, fleeting, or out of reach. Why does joy feel like it's slipping through our fingers the harder we chase it? Let's start with an uncomfortable truth: you cannot outrun unhappiness. The dissatisfaction you feel, the emptiness that lingers even in moments of triumph, is not a failure of your efforts or circumstances. It's the voice of your shadow, that hidden part of you yearning to be acknowledged. What if, instead of resisting it, you turn toward your unhappiness? I invite you to pause for a moment. Close your eyes. What is the source of your unhappiness right now? Is it a relationship that's not fulfilling? A dream that feels out of reach? Or is it something deeper? A vague but persistent sense of not being enough? Most of us are conditioned to avoid these feelings. We numb ourselves with distractions, social media, work, entertainment, or even spiritual practices designed to bypass pain. But what if I told you that embracing your unhappiness is the key to unlocking a deeper, truer form of joy? Happiness, as we've been taught to pursue it, is transactional. It's tied to external outcomes, achieving goals, receiving validation, or acquiring things. But these are fleeting, impermanent. True joy arises from within, independent of circumstances. And paradoxically, it is born from your willingness to confront and embrace the very things you've been avoiding. Have you ever noticed how tightly we cling to labels? I'm successful, I'm in control, or even, I'm happy. These identities are comforting but fragile. When life challenges them, through failure, loss, or moments of doubt, we feel as though our world is crumbling. But what if this crumbling is not the end but the beginning? Imagine a house built on a shaky foundation. No matter how beautifully it's decorated, the cracks will eventually show. Your unhappiness is like those cracks, signaling where the foundation needs attention. To ignore them is to guarantee collapse. To embrace them is to rebuild something stronger, truer, and more enduring. Here's a practical exercise: the next time you feel unhappy, instead of pushing it away, sit with it. Ask yourself, what is this unhappiness trying to teach me? What unmet need or unacknowledged truth is it pointing toward? And now, a deeper question: who are you beneath your unhappiness? Not the roles you play, not the achievements or failures you've accumulated, but the essence of you that has been present through it all. Can you find that part of you? The one untouched by circumstances? In this first step of the journey, we begin to see unhappiness not as an enemy but as a guide. It points us toward the parts of ourselves we've abandoned, the truths we've suppressed. To embrace it is to reclaim those parts and start the process of healing. But what lies beyond this healing? How do we transform the pain we've embraced into joy? This brings us to the next part of our journey, the alchemy of inner joy. The alchemy of inner joy, transforming pain into light. When we hear the word alchemy, we might think of ancient mystics attempting to turn lead into gold. But there's a deeper, more personal kind of alchemy, the transformation of emotional pain into profound inner joy. This process doesn't happen by chance, it's a deliberate journey that requires courage, patience, and self-awareness. We often treat pain as a mistake, an obstacle, or something to fix. But what if your pain is not a flaw in your life's design but an essential ingredient for your growth? Imagine your unhappiness as raw clay, left unshaped. It seems ordinary and purposeless. But when you engage with it, when you mold it with your hands, your heart, and your intention, it becomes something beautiful, something meaningful. Here's the secret that many miss: pain and joy are not opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. Think of a deep, resonant song that moves you to tears. Is it joy you feel? Or is it sorrow? Or perhaps both, intertwined in a way that transcends simple labels. That's the essence of alchemy, blending what seems contradictory into something whole. Ask yourself, what have been the most transformative moments in your life? Were they times of ease and comfort? Or were they born from challenge, heartbreak, and uncertainty? Pain forces us to grow, to question, and to change. Without it, we might never discover the depth of our strength or the boundlessness of our spirit. Now let's talk about the how. How do we transform pain into joy? First, we must face it. This sounds simple, but it's the hardest step. Facing pain means letting go of the stories we tell ourselves to avoid it. I'm fine. It's not a big deal, or I don't have time to deal with this right now. When you strip away these defenses, what remains? The raw, unfiltered experience of being human. Next, we listen. Pain has a voice, but it speaks in whispers. It might come as a tightness in your chest, a restless thought that won't leave you, or a feeling of heaviness that lingers. Instead of silencing it, ask, what are you trying to tell me? What do you need? This simple act of listening can be profoundly healing. Here's an exercise to deepen this practice. Take a quiet moment and sit with your pain. Imagine it as a small child, scared and confused. How would you comfort them? What words would you offer? Often, the kindness we extend to others is the same kindness we need to extend to ourselves. And then comes the turning point, gratitude. This might feel impossible at first. How can you be grateful for something that hurts? But gratitude is the alchemical catalyst. It doesn't mean you're thankful for the pain itself, it means you recognize its role in shaping you. Like a sculptor chiseling away at stone, your pain is carving out the space within you for joy to grow. Take a moment to reflect. What pain have you experienced that, in hindsight, led to growth, understanding, or strength? Can you see the seeds of joy that were planted in those moments? This is not to romanticize suffering. Pain is real, and it hurts. But when we embrace it, listen to it, and allow it to transform us, it becomes something more. It becomes a teacher, a guide, and, ultimately, a source of joy. Finally, we must act. Joy is not a passive state, it's something we cultivate through choices, habits, and actions. This might mean letting go of what no longer serves you, pursuing what lights you up, or simply being present to the beauty of ordinary moments. Here's a practice to bring this into your daily life every morning. Before you start your day, set an intention to embrace both joy and pain. Remind yourself that they are not enemies but partners in your journey. And at the end of each day, reflect, how did I honor my inner alchemy today? As we close this chapter, I leave you with a question to ponder deeply. If you knew that your greatest joy lies on the other side of your greatest pain, Would you have the courage to walk through it? This brings us to the final stage of our journey, the fulfillment that comes from living authentically. Embracing all of life's colors. And finding meaning in every experience. Living authentically, the path to true fulfillment. What does it mean to live authentically? It's a question that might seem simple at first but reveals infinite depth upon reflection. Authenticity is not about becoming someone new, it's about uncovering who you've always been beneath the layers of fear, societal expectation, and self-doubt. But here's the paradox, living authentically is both the most natural and the most challenging thing we can do. Why? Because it requires us to embrace every part of ourselves, the light and the shadow, the joy and the pain. It demands that we stop pretending, stop hiding, and start showing up as we are, no matter how vulnerable that feels. When was the last time you felt truly seen, not for the roles you play or the masks you wear, but for the essence of who you are? Can you recall a moment when you let your guard down completely and allowed someone, even yourself, to see the raw, unfiltered you? If you can, you know how liberating it is. If you can't, you're not alone. Most of us spend our lives yearning for this freedom yet fearing it at the same time. Living authentically begins with self-awareness. You can't live your truth if you don't know what it is. This requires a willingness to ask yourself the hard questions. What do I truly want? Beyond what others expect of me. What am I afraid of losing if I show the world my true self? Am I living a life that aligns with my values? Or am I chasing someone else's definition of success? These are not questions you answer once and forget. They are companions on your journey, whispering to you in moments of doubt and clarity alike. The next step is courage. Authenticity demands that we step out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. This might mean saying no to opportunities that don't align with your values, even if they seem appealing. It might mean having difficult conversations, risking rejection, or walking away from relationships, jobs, or habits that no longer serve you. Think of a time when you made a choice that felt deeply right, even though it was difficult. What did it cost you? And what did it give you in return? To live authentically is to accept that not everyone will understand or approve of your choices. But here's the beauty. The people and opportunities meant for you will align effortlessly when you're aligned with yourself. You'll find that the more you embrace your truth, the less you need to seek validation from the outside world. Authenticity also involves embracing impermanence. Life is ever-changing. And so are we. Who you are today is not who you will be tomorrow. And that's a gift. It means there's always room to grow, to evolve, to become more fully yourself. Here's a practice to help you navigate this impermanence. At the end of each week, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned about yourself. What surprised you? What challenged you? What brought you closer to your authentic self? Write these reflections down, not as a rigid roadmap but as a gentle guide. And finally, fulfillment. True fulfillment comes not from achieving a particular goal or reaching a certain destination but from living in harmony with your inner truth. It's the quiet contentment that comes from knowing you are enough, just as you are. But fulfillment is not a solo journey. We are wired for connection. And our authenticity has the power to inspire others to embrace their own. When you live authentically, you give others permission to do the same. Imagine the ripple effect this could create, a world where people feel free to be themselves, to support one another, and to find joy in the interconnectedness of life. Let's end with a question that may guide you for years to come. if you stripped away every expectation, every fear, and every limitation? What would remain? Who are you? At your core. The journey we've explored together is not about escaping unhappiness but about embracing it as part of the human experience. It's about transforming pain into joy, living authentically, and discovering that true fulfillment lies not in perfection but in wholeness. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. May it inspire you to live boldly, love deeply, and embrace every part of your incredible, imperfect, and beautiful self.